Hello everyone, Forest Focus Nottingham Forest putting a terrible performance, lose 3-0 at Everton in what was a fully deserved defeat that might well worry some fans in the bigger picture. Maybe not my guest though. We shall find out in the next 45 minutes or so in the company of, first of all, Fothers. How are you this evening, Fothers?
Hi, Matt. I'm just a bit disappointed, to be honest. And if you'd asked me an hour ago, angry. But I've calmed down a little bit.
Well, sometimes these shows make us feel better, sometimes they make us more angry. So we'll find out. Will, we shall see what happens. Will Tomlinson, WT Analysis. How are you this evening, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. Shame about the game, obviously, but like you say, what better way to get over it than talk about it?
Yeah, exactly. Let's see if we make people feel better by the end of this. Fothers, you missed the first 10 minutes or so. You've watched the first goal back, but I'll let Will talk more generally, and then we'll take it from there. Talk to us about the game in general, Will.
Yeah, obviously they set off really badly. I think Savona's got everything under control. He makes a silly decision and a bad foul. They clear the ball well, but then I think Andoy doesn't do a great job in tracking. He eventually gets back, but kind of falls for the Cruyff turn. And you're on the back foot straight away. It was a bad start, and Forest took a while to get into the game after that, I feel. I don't really think Everton did too much that troubled us afterwards. But they just looked a bit one-paced, to be honest, and a bit off, and a bit similar to Wednesday, really. Performance not there on either game, but obviously, fortunately, on Wednesday, we got the win, and today was not to be.
Yes, I got a bit of stick for being too negative about Wednesday. And one of the things that worried me was the way we played on Wednesday, 18 Premier League clubs would have beaten us. And I worried that it might happen tonight. And I kind of got to the point where I didn't think it would, because you can't play like that badly against Everton, because they'll beat you easily. And unfortunately, we have done. Did you fear a Wolves hangover, Fothers, or not going into this one?
Not really, because we got the result, didn't we? And when you're playing badly and winning, then there's you've got to take positives from that. And we all know that it wasn't very good on Wednesday night, and Wolves, 2 points from the first 13 games says it all for the start they've made. But we set up today, and it was, like Will said there, it was slow from the start. Like I said, I was even slower. Like you say, I missed the first 10 minutes, but it sounds like I didn't miss much. And then for sort of 20 minutes, we were kind of okay, weren't we? But only okay, and not threatening, not looking dangerous. And I'm not saying the second goal was inevitable, but they looked much more dangerous going forward, didn't they? I think Andoy, Dewsbury-Hall, Grealish to a lesser extent than those two today are just quality. And when you give them the space that you give them, they'll punish you.
Going into the game, I mean, my team selection in the preview, Will, I think it only had one change, but just one change I feel like can make a difference. I don't think Andoy deserved to start this game. I would have played Hudson-Odoi, but did Dyche make some errors there, similar to the Bournemouth game, and making us overly tired or not?
Yeah, I guess so. I was a little bit surprised, one, for Andoy to get the start. I didn't think Hutchinson would either, just because I thought he looked tired on Wednesday at the end, and I thought the wings would be a bit of a problem. Obviously, Hutchinson started the game and played the full 90 again. But like you say, he didn't make any changes going into the Bournemouth game. I don't think he made any changes from Liverpool to Brighton, but I think there was a game in between that. So he seems to want to stick to a game or a team that won, but that's obviously not working because he didn't seem to win the second one now. So, I was a little bit surprised, but then I'm not entirely sure what different options there are. Like you can switch your wingers, but not sure the wingers necessarily were a problem today. The mistakes were all over the place, and the bench is looking really light. So there's only so many things you can change, and I get why he went with the same one. It's not what I would have done, but the guys that are out there, I think, just needed to do a better job today, and they needed to do that on Wednesday as well. So yeah, I was a little bit surprised, and we're obviously going to see changes on Thursday, and who knows what happens come Sunday. Hopefully, we've got a couple of players back by then.
Did you have a chance to watch the first goal back yet, Fothers, or not?
I have yet. Just on what Will said there about the team selection as well. I think what Sean Dyche is doing and what he's done from the moment that he first came in is picking his best 11 for the Premier League, and it feels like he's picking the best 11 I said to you, Mike, before we came on, that we don't see them in the week, do we? We don't see what they're doing in training. Dan Andoy's obviously doing something in training, because watching the last 2 or 3 games, I don't think there's any Forest fan that would have picked him on current form. But what he's doing is picking what he feels is the best 11, which we didn't have under Ange at all, did we? And that best 11 is starting to get us results. The problem is, if that best 11 doesn't perform, like Will just said there, then that's when your problems start. But yeah, I've watched the first goal back. Andoy's got to do better. I didn't see what the free kick was for. I'm picking up that Savona made a tackle. Where the free kick was given, we've cleared the free kick, and then Andoy has to do better. You've got to stop the cross, haven't you? But Milenkovic as well. I mean, you know, what's he doing there? He's not under any pressure, and I don't. It's a good ball in, but I don't understand why he's headed that past Sells.
No, he needs to be moving his feet quicker, I think. Maybe he's a bit knackered. I don't know. Let's talk a little bit about Andoy. Will, there's always a player in the spotlight for Forest. It shifts around. It's been Hutchinson. Now it's Andoy. Where are you at on him?
Yeah, like you say, when things are going well, there's always one person or one player that takes a lot of the stick, and I think he just looks to me like a player who's got no confidence at all. I thought that straight away on Wednesday when he beat his fullback really well and then just dribbled it straight out of play, and that kind of set the tone for his game. I didn't think he was much better today. Obviously, his first action today was to let Dewsbury-Hall beat him and put a cross in. I think he's someone that needs confidence. But then, you know, you have a lot of people who don't want Dominguez to play on the wing either, because he's not naturally a winger and he does a job out there, but you kind of lose something going forward when he is there. Hutchinson has deservedly got himself into the team, even if today wasn't his best one. So yeah, I just think for me, he's just a guy that lacks confidence. He's obviously a good player. We saw that at the start of the season. He got a goal and assist his first couple of games. Maybe there's a chance for him on Thursday to get that back. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. Do you play him in? Do you play him into confidence and form? I'm not sure we can afford to do that where we are at the moment. So for me, I'd be bringing Hudson-Odoi back in. I would have done that today. But we'll see what happens over the next couple of games.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of the time I defend players on here like Ilanga, like Morgan, play them back into form and everything, but Andoy looks absolutely devoid of any belief to me. Just a few times, Will referenced the one the other night as well. There were a few times today his touch was just really poor, just cannoned off for throw-ins. Sometimes I think you take players out of the firing line for their own good. And I would definitely consider that in the Premier League. The only mitigation is you've probably got to play him in Europe, and we're playing a poor team, and maybe that gets him back into form. But generally, I think he looks like a player who's completely shot of confidence. Certainly, looking at the start was terrible for us. It was different to Brighton in that we conceded. Did you feel like as the half went on? Did you feel we were getting into it without any quality? Our use of the ball felt poor. Did you see us improving or not?
I think it got better. I think it got better slightly. The possession stats at half time were 55-45. So we had the ball. We had plenty of time on it to do things with it, but we just didn't. And I'm sure we'll talk about Morgan in more detail a little bit later on, maybe. But I'm his biggest fan, and I like a lot of Forest fans look to him to be the spark. And today, I don't know whether he's tired. You know, you look at Everton and they're not playing 2 games a week, and we are, and it seems to be the same players that seem to be playing, and he looked out of sorts, and without him doing what he can do, we're going to struggle. I thought Jesus looked off it when he got a chance today. Both wingers were poor. I thought Amari Hutchinson probably had his worst game today. In fact, he only took the ball past the player once, and it was on about 84 minutes when he went past the fullback. So I think everybody had an off day today. And yes, it was okay first half, but we never really troubled Pickford at all, did we?
No, he troubled himself one time, and that was about it, certainly.
Yeah.
Come on here, this is going to be a long, miserable watch. Hopefully not the whole thing. The last 10 minutes or so will hopefully be a bit better, but there's going to be some miserable bits. Let's just talk about a couple of those players, Will, that sort of were heavily involved in the game by not necessarily being involved. start with Morgan. I mean, regular viewers will know that Fothers is his biggest defender, and he's saying he was poor today. I thought he was terrible. We haven't seen that from him for a while. Is it just the thing that Morgan's got in him? Well, firstly, do you agree he was terrible? And secondly, does he just have these games where he is terrible?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say terrible. I said he was anonymous, is what I kind of thought. He just wasn't really involved much today. And it kind of happened in the second half where he got a little bit more involved, and a couple of things didn't come off, and he seemed to lose his rag a little bit as well with a couple of feisty tackles with Dewsbury-Hall. And, you know, I felt, to be fair to the ref, I thought he dealt with that quite well and that he calmed it down and kind of let them play on. But he just seemed a little bit off it today. But then, you know, how many times did we get him the ball, number one? I think he struggled to get on it. I can remember a couple of times in the first half where we picked him out in between the lines. But we know he's, this season at least, he's had those kind of games in him. We thought he'd turn that around in the last few weeks, and perhaps today is just, well, hopefully today is just a bit of a blip. But yeah, I don't think he was up to scratch, but he was far from the main culprit today, or the only one that had a bad game today.
Thank you, Bonju, for being a member. Appreciate that for 2 months. Very good of you. Pat, I will pick up your point because it's a fair one, an interesting one in a minute about midfield. But just for that, quick word for the Trent Navigation. Next game, Utrecht. Early kickoff, 5:45 p.m. Catch the build-up at the Nav. If you get there before 5:30 p.m, you get a chance of a free pint of Madri. And then you can watch the game on the big screens, indoors and out. I think Emily might be doing the pre-match build-up, if there is any. Maybe there isn't because it's an early kickoff. But Fothers is departing this land for a while, so Emily's on the mic, filling in at the Nav. But do check out the game there, and thanks as ever to those guys for their support. And check out Over the Road as well. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see the ad there. It's really good. A different vibe, but really good. Right, Fothers, Pat makes a point, because Pat always says it's the midfield. Was it the case that Dewsbury-Hall and James Garner ran the game? I thought Elliot Anderson was our best player, so I don't think it was completely that. But if Will said we didn't get the ball into Morgan, which is fair enough, is that because we had nothing in midfield? We passed the ball so long, so many times, and bypassed any quality. I'm throwing a lot at you here, but is midfield a problem in these games?
I get why it's the midfields in capitals, but today it was the goalkeeper, it was the defence, it was the midfield, and it was Jesus, wasn't it? I mean, yes, the midfield is where you win and lose battles, isn't it? And we didn't today. We didn't win that battle at all. I thought I've always rated Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. I think he's a quality player. Andoy as well up front, and as you just mentioned there, James Garner. We all know what James Garner can do. We'd love to have kept him, wouldn't we, when we got promoted? So yeah, the midfield is one of the parts that didn't work today. We were overrunning midfield. They were better than us. They looked sharper as well, didn't they? You know, when we did get it, I said there we had 55% possession in the first half, and when you consider the first 10 minutes, where we didn't look very good at all, but we did nothing with it. When we got it, we did nothing with it. I get Elliot Anderson as your man of the match, Matt, but going forward, you know, there was just nothing from him either today. And, you know, maybe he's tired as well, which is worrying with Christmas coming up and 2 games a week for the next 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it is. So I don't think you can entirely blame the midfield, because I thought the defending was poor today as well. But let's not forget players like Murillo, Aina, Douglas Luiz, Chris Wood, 4 names there that would be first name on the team sheet if they were fit. So, you know, let's not. I get why everybody's doom and gloom, and there's talk of the championship and scrapping the plans to extend the City ground. But come on, it's a long season. There's a long way to go, and we'll be fine.
Save that powder for the end. Keep those thoughts till the end. Have we bypassed, Will, the midfield too much in the last 2 games, or is it more a case that at Anfield, Igor Jesus held the ball up really well, let other players join in, and we built from there, and he didn't get a kick today? Is it always there's more than one thing going wrong, or is it the tactics that are awry, as I mentioned, going too long? What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to touch on that as soon as Father said it, actually. The midfield, I think, was a problem, but we bypassed it, for me, too often against a team that just eats that up. Like, if you're going to hit a long ball to Kiernan, Tarkowski, it doesn't matter who's up front, they're going to be winning a lot of those headers. I think when we try to play out from the back, you have Anderson drop deep to receive that ball from the keeper and the centre-backs. But then when they decide to go long, it's normally Gibbs-White and Jesus trying to win the header, and there's no one there to collect that knockdown. And I think that was a huge problem today. I've got to be honest, I can't remember too much about Wednesday, whether that was a problem then or not. I kind of just bypassed that one myself. But I think today it was a huge problem. And we kind of didn't, for me, we didn't really know what we wanted to do. We weren't brave enough playing out from the back to kind of stop that from happening. And then when you kind of bottle it is the wrong phrase, but bottle it and hit it long, you've not got enough men up the field close to where that ball's going to pick up the pieces. And I think that was a big problem. You can get away with it against less physical centre-backs, but like I said, it's a big surprise to me because Dyche would have known that. He's managed both those centre-backs, not just at Everton, but I think at Burnley as well. So he would have known playing those long balls would have been something that we weren't going to get the benefit of today. And we still went ahead and did it. And I think that was perhaps one of the reasons why Sangare came off at half-time. I just didn't think he was involved enough today. He was by no means the worst player on the pitch, but wasn't able to stamp his kind of authority in possession like he normally does. And he had a couple of moments where he just let players go past him off the ball as well. So that kind of sub wasn't a surprise to me.
No, me neither. I think Sangari's been really good of late, but he didn't play particularly well today. He gave it away a lot. Looked knackered as well a bit, which is slightly troubling. Maybe we'll talk about the use of the bench. I saw Kevin in the chat mentioned about Morgan carrying an injury. I mean, should he have taken him off? I know he made 3 subs at halftime, and we'll touch on the Yates sub, which creates some problems for us, or the Yates injury, certainly. Just before that, we've got to talk about the second goal for us. How does any Premier League club in the 46th minute of the half winding down concede that goal?
It was really bad, wasn't it? It was Hutchinson, wasn't it, who gave it away, I think. And surprisingly, I mean, the commentator said Forest were gambling. They'd got too many men forward. I mean, I didn't see that on Wednesday night, and I certainly didn't see it all afternoon today. So I'm not quite sure where they all were and where the defence were, and how 2 quick passes ends up with a 3-on-1 against Milenkovic. But yeah, Hutchinson's got to do better. Just keep the ball and 1-0 down at half time, regroup, come out, and who knows? I think we probably know from the last couple of performances it might not have been any different. But then Sean Dyche has to throw the dice, for want of a better word, by making those 3 changes at half time, which I think he was kind of forced into because of that goal. So yeah, keep it tight, go in 1-0, and rebuild for the second half. But yeah, poor to concede a goal like that at any time, but on 47 minutes when you're playing 48, really bad. Yeah,
I mean, Dyche, we'll talk about Dyche's management a bit, but he's going to be raging at that, isn't he, Will? I mean, that's the kind of goal that Ange would have conceded as a manager, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really poor goal to concede. I'm not sure whether Hutchinson made a pass and it was under hit, or whether he's miscontrolled sort of a dribble. He's gone kind of through the referee into, I think, Andoy, and then after that, Morato, I think has made a really bad error to kind of jump up to try and stop it, and he's got nowhere near stopping it. That's one where if you're going to do that, you've got to stop the attack. Whether you win the ball or not, you have to stop the attack. He does neither. And then it's poor Milenkovic left with a 3-on-1, I think it was, running back. And I see a comment there from someone saying, why are the centre-backs so high up? They're high up because Forest had the ball, and the last thing they're kind of going to expect is for Hutchinson to give the ball away in that situation. That's the first error. The second error is Morato making that, and then, like I said, Milenkovic has got no chance at all, really. He either gets really lucky or he takes a red card. So just a really disappointing goal to concede. When I'm not going to say we were sort of looking really good, but we got better and we kind of got a foothold in the game, I think, towards the end of it, or to the end of that first half, and it just kind of it killed the game off, really, doesn't it? It's going to be really difficult for any team to come back from 2-0 at half time, especially a team that is so hot and cold like us at the moment.
Yeah. I thought we played all right from 30 minutes until we conceded, or maybe a little bit longer than that. With just real lack of quality on the ball was frustrating.
Yeah,
so it goes back.
Sorry to interrupt me. I've meant to mention, we had more of the ball. We had 2 shots in the first half. He had more of the ball. We only had 2 shots, and the second one was right before we conceded. So you can't. We can control the game and have more possession, but we just did nothing with it, and that's what was really disappointing for me.
Yeah,
I think the frustrating thing for me as well, Matt, sorry, is that and Will's quite right, we go 2-0 down and that's the end of the game. Yet every other Premier League game that we're watching at the minute, there's a side 2-0 up who end up losing 3-2. Sunderland come back from 2-0 down against Bournemouth. Fulham coming back from 5-1 against Man City. Okay, they ended up losing the game, but we just don't look like scoring, do we? We don't look like, you go in 2-0 down at Everton, who I think are a very average side. I don't know how they've gone 5th. I had to double check that because I thought that can't be right. Because for me, they're just an average side with a couple of decent players in midfield. Okay, they're solid at the back as well, and they've got England's number 1 in goal. But you know what I'm saying? But we're 2-0 down, and then it's done. There's nobody, any Forest fan that thinks that we've got a chance of coming back into it, and that's the bit that we've got to turn around somehow.
Gosh, we could pick apart some of the recruitment there, but does it also speak to injuries, Will? I mean, Chris Wood feels like he's a long way off. Murillo really can't come back soon enough. That's really dragging. Oleraina as well. Then you're looking at the bench, and I really like Zach Abbott, but that's not a change that's going to win you the game. That's a change that stops Savona getting sent off, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, I'd accounted the injury list, but I didn't have enough time before this podcast to figure it out. I think you look at the bench today and who's going to make a change attacking. It's Hudson-Odoi, it's McAtee, and it's Cali Mwendo. If you're chasing a game, you're very unlikely to bring Gibbs-White off, no matter what form he's in, and probably rightfully so. Cali Mwendo, I think we said before on this podcast, I like him. I just don't think he's a Dyche striker, and he's obviously going to start on Thursday, right? Which is why he's not come on today, but you'd still think you bring him on and give it a go. Dyche isn't someone that's averse to playing 4-4-2, and he's not. Well, he's either done that with Gibbs-White or he doesn't want to bring the other striker on. And then, McAtee, I was a bit surprised he didn't come on at the end. Obviously, we think that Gibbs-White's been holding a bit of an injury at the moment. Now, maybe he's getting a rest on Thursday, but to me, when that third goal goes in, if you have doubts on whether Gibbs-White is injured or not, he comes off straight away for McAtee, and he's either fine, or they know that he's just not going to be involved on Thursday, which I'm sure we'll get onto it. Worry me a little bit about Thursday as well. If we're going to be travelling away and Anderson's probably not going to play, and if Gibbs-White's not playing either, I'm not sure many people are going to that game feeling confident.
Yeah, Dyche's use of the bench I'm really conflicted about. He made 3 changes at half time, which I liked, and no complaints about it. But I don't think he had much alternative with the game state. But then surely, Fothers, you give Callum Mwendo 15, you give McAtee 15. Hutchinson didn't do a lot on his start. I mean, he gave the ball away a lot. Maybe he's better as a sub. I'll ask that separately. But on the bench, would you not have given Callum Mwendo and McAtee 15 minutes to try and do something?
Yeah, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? And we'd have all maybe played Callum from the start, etc. But yeah, there's a chance there, isn't there? With 20 minutes to go, Jesus is getting no change out of the Everton defence. Somebody's just said there in the chat as well that, to be fair to him, he needs the service. He didn't get it. I think there was one chance, there was one header, wasn't there, in the second half, that was just weak and went straight to Pickford. But yeah, I don't know what McAtee's done wrong. We said after the European game the other night against Malmo that he didn't grasp his chance, but Gibbs-White's struggling. Gibbs-White's clearly struggling today. So, yeah, give him 20 minutes. Jesus is getting no change. Get Callum Mwendo on, somebody who's going to try something a little bit different. But it's, it's easy for us to say that, isn't it? And Sean's watching the same game, and you've got to have faith that he knows what he's doing. But it would have been nice to see a couple of changes going forward. Like Will said there, we had 3 attacking options on the bench. We've lost 3-0, and we've only tried one of those attacking options. And that's Hudson-Odoi for Andoy, which we'd have all done at the start anyway. So yeah.
Did Hudson-Odoi do any better than Andoy on the day, Will?
I don't think he was as a negative perhaps influence as Andoy was in the first half. You think for his sort of contribution or lack of for the goal, but I thought he carried the ball well, but nothing came of it, which is, to be fair, been what Hudson-Odoi has done for the most of this season. I think he consistently looks quite dangerous, but for whatever reason, the end product hasn't been there. I think he's got 1 goal and no assists, which I think the goal came from Andoy, which is quite ironic, really. So, yeah, I mean, it couldn't be much worse. And I think the second half was better, overall, but the bar was so low. Like, I don't think it's anything to be sort of happy about that we were better in the second half.
No, I mean, there was that spell where some tackles flew in and we played more intensity, but that's like literally, that's the bare minimum that you would expect from your team to compete and go for it. Just a quick one on Hutchinson. Well, obviously he had that moment of quality at Wolves on his first start, second start today, couldn't quite produce it, but he does. If anything's going to happen, it does look like it's going to be him. Was it right to leave him on for 90, or again, should he have come off with 15 to go and get fresher legs on?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted him to start against Brighton. I think it was Brighton. He didn't. Obviously, came on in that game, gets his start that he deserves at Wolves, and I think I said at the time, the output we got from him at Wolves was probably similar to what we've had from him in his substitute appearances, but just spread over 90 minutes rather than like 20 or 30. So he might not have looked as good, but we still got the same output. Today was obviously a step down. Like Father said, I think the first time he really beat his man was at the end to win a free kick. I do think he created a couple of chances today, but my biggest thing with him today was just the silly fouls. Like Dewsbury-Hall was buying a lot of free kicks that me and my friends always used to say Chris Gunter was the king of that, going back towards his own corner flag, and he'd kind of back into the attacker and go down. And Hutchinson gave away 6 fouls today, which is too many for a winger. Like, all fouls where you've got someone sort of in the corner where you're going to win a throw in at worst, or they're going to clear the ball. I just think it wasn't his day. He probably tired out towards the end, considering he's played very little and has now played 180, probably nearing 200 minutes in this past 4 days. He's obviously not going to play on Thursday, so there's a chance for Andoy and Hudson-Odoi, and maybe Bakwa if he's going to be on the bench to come in and make an impact and stake a claim for the weekend. But yeah, he's still young. He might have played in the Premier League last year, but he's probably only got about 40 or 45 games at this level. And I think today we saw that inexperience in his decision making. Especially with that goal right at the end of the half where you just can't turn that ball over there. And or I mean, how go if making fouls? You make a foul to make sure that that attack can't happen, and just wasn't his day today, I don't think.
No, either he or Morato had to be taking a yellow card there. I mean, Morato tried, but didn't even get near Andoy to do it. Did Tarkowski cleared the one good chance we had off the line? Quite a lot of people in the chat felt he should have been sent off before then for 2 yellows. Did either of you think that, or is that a bit of straw clutching? Did you see anything? I don't think I did, but maybe I missed one of the challenges. I'm not sure. Yeah,
it wasn't a challenge. I don't know whether Fathers, you might not have seen it. It was really early in the game. Off the ball's gone out for a throw in. He's kind of given a bit of a shoulder, onto Andoy, which if the ref spots it, it's like a clear yellow card. I think it's gone to VAR. It's not a red for me, like ever. And if the VAR's not seen it, then they're not allowed to give him a yellow. And then obviously later in the second half, I think Anderson's breaking free and he pulls him down for a yellow card, which either he would have done and got sent off, but more likely knowing Tarkowski, who I think pretty much never gets sent off. Amazingly enough, he just wouldn't have made that decision to bring him down. So yeah, it might change how he plays in the second half, but it wasn't like a red card thing for me.
No, fair enough. Third goal for us wraps the game up. Slightly familiar story. Matt Sells, corners. It feels like teams are exposing that weakness now because he palmed that down, didn't punch it clear, did he?
It was poor, wasn't it? And we look vulnerable from corners again. And for me to look vulnerable from corners, that has to be down to the goalkeeper. If he's got to come out and do better than what he did. But then it kind of fell to Dewsbury-Hall. Somebody laid it off to Dewsbury-Hall, and Dominguez has made a pathetic attempt to block the shot. And then everybody's just watched it roll into the corner. And it was a bit like that overhead kick equaliser for Tottenham the other night, where it just went so slowly and just felt like it just bobbled into the corner. And you're really disappointing goal to concede. But it kind of summed it up, didn't it? And to be fair, he'd made a great save from just before that. Dewsbury-Hall's hit the post, hasn't he? Sells has made a great save from Andoy for the corner. So it kind of looked like it was coming, but yeah, we've got to do better from corners. But again, Murillo, Aina back in the side, that should change, and hopefully we'll get better at it, won't we? But today was I don't know. Let's can we not just put it down to a bad day in the office or not? Because Wednesday was just as bad.
Oh, that is a question. We'll save that one just for the end. Just quickly on Sells, and maybe Murillo comes back, but Zach Abbott headed a few corners out today and did okay. James Belshaw's our goalkeeping expert. I don't know. I wouldn't throw that at you, Will. But on Sells and corners, are you concerned by it consistently or not?
I think Sells hasn't changed in that regard. He's not strong under the high ball, and I think a team like Everton, that a classic set piece team, that's not going to change under Dyche, and Moyes are going to be the same. If you look at, I think, the angle right before that goal where the camera's behind the guy taking the corner, I'm pretty sure everyone's in the 6-yard box. They know what the weakness is. And I'm not really sure there's anything too much that Forest can do about it, apart from trying to win that first contact. Sells obviously puts the punch in, which is not a great one, but so many times we see him not even try to punch it either. So sometimes he'll just stand there and kind of let it happen. And I'm not sure in this situation which is worse. It compounds it, like Father says, it sums it up. They made a mistake there with Sells for me. He needs to do better with that. I want my keeper to come out and claim those, but I'm not a goalkeeper. I'm 5'10", weak as anything, so I'm not going to be claiming those. But if not, punch it further away. If you don't punch it further away, you need to get out to the guy who's got the ball. So it's mistake after mistake, or just lack of concentration after lack of concentration, which cost them there. I thought, to be fair, the corners we'd probably dealt with quite well through the game until that one. Like you say, Abbott headed some away. I think Gibbs-White had a good headed clearance in the first half, and Jesus as well. But when you can see from the one, it's like, we've done it again. It's been a weakness for most of the year. I think Dyche has made some changes there to get it better. But when you've got a keeper who doesn't want to come and claim that ball, it's always going to rear its ugly head when a team really picks up on it. Probably something to watch out for with a team like Spurs and Thomas Frank in charge next week as well. But when he's in goal, you're going to have those problems all the time. But what you also get is some of the nice saves he made today, especially that one, unfortunately, just before we conceded the goal, I think.
Yeah, he had good moments on the day, but certainly he's obviously at fault for that goal to some degree. Last thing on the game before we move on to the bigger picture. This certainly does have implications, I think. Ryan Yates-Fothers goes off after 59 minutes. Sangare's got one game left before he goes. Douglas Luiz doesn't seem to be anywhere near playing. So that leaves potentially Dominguez and Anderson, unless I'm wrong, as central midfielders. And then Zinchenko is supposed to be back on the grass, and he can play central midfield. So maybe there's going to be a role for him there. But again, going back to injuries, they're stacking up in certain key areas now, and central midfield is one of them, isn't it?
It is. This is something that we didn't have to put up with last year at all, did we? Nuno got very, very fortunate last year with 14 or 15 players playing pretty much every game. Maybe that was because it was only the Premier League games and obviously the run in the FA Cup. But yeah, it's worrying. But we've got. I still firmly believe, and I'm not trying to upset anybody listening, but I'm still my glass is still half full, and I still think we've got quality in there. And if it is Anderson and Dominguez,
they can't play every game, can they?
Well, Dominguez is not a winger anyway, is he? So let's get Dominguez into his position that he's not been able to play because Sangare and Anderson and Douglas Luiz are better. So he has to go in there. But yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for Christmas. I said earlier, 2 games a week for the next 5 weeks. And we're losing the players to AFCON as well. It's going to be tough without the injuries. And yeah, Yatesy, he's chalk and cheese, isn't he? Some people like him, some people don't. But I'll tell you what, you can rely on him most of the time to come in and do a job. So and it looked, was it his ham? Again, my feed was really poor today. Was it his hamstring? Does it look like it's quite?
Yeah. He held his hamstring, so you can say a couple of weeks there, minimum for that, I would think. So. Yeah, leaves us short on numbers. Have a quick think about man of the match, chaps, and I'm going to ask you how you're feeling about the bigger picture. Lots of people looking pretty down tonight as we head into, as mentioned, some big and busy games. Right, Nottingham Window Company, thank you very much for their support. Has the video not come up? What's going on here? There it is, and I've just taken it off again. Wi-Fi. Nottingham Window Company, thank you very much for their support. Very much appreciated. If you're looking for new windows or doors, click the link in the description. Check out what they offer. They are the people for you if you're in Nottinghamshire, and they do go out across the East Midlands. So yeah, like I say, check the link in the description. And thanks as always to those guys. Right, we always do man of the match, Will. So we'll keep doing it today. Who would you give that honour to on this auspicious day?
Do I have to? I think we should get it for doing the podcast. This is a tough one. If I have to pick anyone, I'm picking Anderson. I don't think he was particularly great today, but the desire and the work rate we see from him every week was there. He had some moments on the ball where I think he was really good, but it's not a man of the match he'd be putting on his mantelpiece. I think he'd be shoving that one straight in the cellar or the attic, because I'm not sure really anyone deserved it today.
No, I'll flip the question slightly. Elliot was my man of the match, and give yours, Fothers. I'll flip the question slightly. How many players are above a 5 out of 10 today?
Are you asking me? Sorry.
Yeah.
One. Nico Williams.
Anderson was better than 5 out of 10. He won the ball back like 17 times or something.
No, I think Nico Williams was the better player today out of those two. Anderson gave it away. I'm going to be really controversial about Anderson. I think he's looking tired as well. I think even when it's international break, he has to go off and play that as well. And I've been a little bit disappointed with him the last couple of games. But it's difficult, isn't it? Because everybody loves him. So Nico Williams with Elliot Anderson, a poor second.
Nico's a fair enough shout. Anderson with the ball, yes, I'll throw it back to you, Will, now. Anderson with the ball, I don't think had an overly good day, but without the ball, I mean, God, they were absolutely running through our midfield. That's what worried me.
Yeah, I think he was like the only one who was consistently bringing the ball or winning the ball back. But I'm not fully disagreeing with Fothers here. I don't think he's been up to his level in the last couple of games. I thought he's looked tired for a while, not just the last couple of weeks, but we haven't really got any other options there. And you kind of touched on it earlier. Sangare, I think, plays, he's got Thursday and then Sunday, and then he's off for 4 weeks or so. Maybe Douglas Luiz can be back for the Fulham game. We've obviously got we don't play until the Monday, I don't think, so we've got a little bit longer there to come back for that. And you also touched on it with Zinchenko. I think he's not, for me, a fullback that Dyche would want to play. His talents are, I think, more suited for a midfield role, but then he's not played midfield for Lord knows how long, so he might end up being used there through the rest of December and January if he's back fit, because it seems like Yates is going to be out for a little bit. It was a weird one, really. He won the ball back, and it looked to me like he got a bit of a knee in his hamstring, and he wasn't entirely sure what he did to begin with, and then physios come out and tried to stretch him out a little bit, and he was kind of like, "No, I'm done, it's finished." So hopefully it's not too bad, but it didn't look great. And we're kind of down to the bare bones a little bit there.
Possibly a dead leg or something, yeah. Zinchenko plays centre mid for Ukraine, doesn't he? I think. I don't watch much international football, but I think he does.
I think he does. I think he's even played 10 there for them. But, I mean, he's barely played for them this year either, right? So I think he played the first couple of games, which is apparently why he wasn't in our Europa League squad, because he wasn't here to do the medical and stuff. And then since then, he got injured and hasn't played for them since, just played left back for us. So I think he's an option, but I just don't think he's a left back option under this manager.
No, and the thing about Luiz is as well, it's the injury that he's had feels like one where you can't just say, right, you're going to play 90 now. It's like you're going to play 15 minutes here for a couple of weeks, and then you're going to start, and then you might get injured again. I don't know. He worries me around his fitness. Obviously, his quality, but that's a concern. Right, just before we go then, bigger picture, lots of people in the chat are worried that we're right back in I don't think we ever escaped a relegation battle, but we're right back in it, and people are feeling very worried. Bothers, Leeds had a good win in the week. West Ham are picking up points. Our performance levels are wildly erratic, from brilliant at Anfield to, I thought, terrible today. So where are you at?
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to cling to the performance at Anfield. I was there. It was one of the best days winning at Liverpool, it's one of those days that you take with you for the rest of your life. And I never thought I'd ever see us win 3-0 at Anfield. So, and that's only 2 weeks ago, isn't it? And yes, it's 2 weeks and 3 pretty dire performances, and there's injuries piling up. And today was awful against. I think, even though people in the chat have been not agreeing with me about Everton, I don't think they're that good, and we were that bad today. So we've just got to try and stay positive, haven't we? You've got to. You can't go into. There's no point living a life where you just go, yeah, it's dire and we're going to lose next week, and we just as easy go out and beat Tottenham next Sunday without a problem. But there are issues. There absolutely are issues. But we've got some good players. We've got players that are good enough to get us out of it. I think when you look at the league table, we're only a couple of wins away from. I mean, I said 12th at the start of the season anyway. So I think we were very lucky to finish 7th last year. But yeah, I'd be lying if I wasn't with you, Matt, saying that actually I'm wanting Liverpool to beat Leeds tonight, whereas maybe this time last season it didn't really matter who beat who, did it? But now it kind of does, because we need West Ham, Burnley, Leeds, and obviously Wolves to keep losing. But we've just got to stay up this year, haven't we? And Sean Dyche has got a proven track record of doing that. He's got better players than he's probably ever had in his career. So come on, keep the faith. We can do this.
Yeah, you can spin lots of narratives in all these situations. I mean, like I say, the last 2 games, I think we played particularly well at all. Great at Anfield. Weirdly, I took quite a lot from Brighton because I thought we created a lot of chances, and it made me quite confident. Where are you, Will? And then I'll ask one more follow-up. But where are you on relegation and the table?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I was worried, but I wouldn't say I was calm either. Somewhere in the middle. I think what makes me feel good about it is, although we didn't really see it today, I think when the game is level, or when games are level, I think we look relatively solid. Outside of those 20 minutes at home to Brighton and the trip to Bournemouth, I think we tend to look pretty okay defensively, especially when we've got our first choice guys there, particularly Murillo. I think the worry for me is going forward, and we didn't really create many chances today, but like you said, we created a few against Brighton. Another day, one of those goes in, and you probably, we lose that game 2-0, right? But it's a late goal that does it. It was closer than a 2-0 game for me. But I think we've got enough about us, just because I think when we've got everyone fit at the back, we can keep clean sheets or 1 goal conceded. It's the other half of the field that I think is the huge problem. If you can cut out these silly mistakes, which we didn't really have too many of last year, then we can see where a lot of this team can get us. So I'm certainly not pressing the panic button just yet.
No, it's interesting reading the chat. I think there's some people in there who they thought we were shit before Dyche came, and now they're able to say more confidently they think we're still rubbish. And then there's others who think we'll be fine, and then there's a few who are wavering. I still think we'll be fine, but the Spurs game for us, I think that'll tell us quite a lot, because Spurs are actually, their away record's quite good. They had a decent win against Brentford today. If we go out and beat Spurs and improve our home form, which is a bit rocky, then everyone feels better. And it's same old, I guess. If you lose the next game at home, then everyone's going to be really, really twitchy going into Christmas, aren't they?
Yeah, I think the big concern for me, like Will just said there, I think the big concern for me is the fact that we're not scoring goals, are we? I think I'm right in saying that if you look at the Premier League table, there's only Wolves scored less goals than us. I think so maybe Burnley, but I think we're the second lowest scorers, and I kind of look at that as well, and I think to myself, when I'm looking at it, that actually a lot of that was under Ange. So we can only really look at what's happened since Sean Dyche came in, can't we? And that's the bit that you've kind of got to look at. And we've just got to stay positive, get the players back fit, and start getting some results. But yeah, looking down rather than looking up at the moment, I have to say.
Yeah, but then the other thing is, if we'd won today, it'd be 4 Premier League wins out of 5. We have, Paul put up a form table that I think we were 6th or 7th in the last 6. So, yeah, people's your mood and emotion swings wildly on what football. That's what being a fan is, isn't it? The results can really impact your mood, and today wasn't. It was pretty grim today, but you have to look at the bigger picture, and I still think we'll be fine. But that Spurs game will probably tell us quite a lot. Just before I go to final thoughts, then, if you've enjoyed this, do us well. I don't know. If you tolerated this, I don't know if enjoy is the right word. Do us a favor, hit like, hit subscribe, consider membership or Patreon. Or a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. It would be lovely. That video showed up for like half a second then. I'm not sure what's happening with them on my screen anyway. Will, any final thoughts, anything you want to add before we depart?
No, nothing from me. Nice to make my post-match debut. Hopefully next time it's a better one, if there's a next time. But yeah, I'd say,
I don't hold the result against you, so I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, well, maybe I do. Maybe I have to refrain now. But yeah, no, it's a tough game to watch, and can't get much worse than that. Cue the Mick McCarthy meme. But hopefully we can get a win on Thursday, which can, I think, at least definitely qualify us to the knockout round if we win the next game. But obviously Sunday's the big one in that respect. And Christmas is really busy, and we got Man City and Everton again. So I think it's important that we can at least get one win out of Spurs and Fulham. I'm not sure we're very good travellers down to Fulham in the last few years. At least I'm not when I go, and I'm going. So I'm not too confident about that one.
No, that is true. That's a good point. This bracket of 6 games I mentioned, well, I wanted 8 points, and we've got 6 with 2 to play. But Fulham away isn't always a happy hunting ground. Apart from that Zinchenko goal on the way to promotion. And then it's obviously, Spurs at home, as mentioned. And then we go into a couple of really tricky games over Christmas. So, yeah, interesting times ahead. Fathers, anything from you before we go?
Just a couple of bits. One, you mentioned earlier about the NAV pre-match on Thursday night. Emily's not there. She takes over from me for the Tottenham game. So she'll be in for the next 3 home games. I'm missing 7 games now off to the other side of the world to see my daughter. So by the time I come back, we'll probably be bottom of the league, out the Europa League, and potentially even out of the FA Cup. If your glass is as half full as some of the people in the comments. Otherwise, if you're looking at the other way, we could be in the top 10 by then. We could be through to the knockout stages of the Europa League, and looking forward to a home tie in the 4th round of the FA Cup. As you say, Matt, emotions change based on the last couple of hours, don't they? Will said earlier, that's 2 hours I'm not getting back, and then we've just chucked another hour on top of it that we're not getting back either. But we can do this. We're not going to give up our Premier League position anytime soon, are we?
Hopefully not. Appreciate the 304 people who are still with us, even Red Dog 1677. Appreciate everyone being here. Do hit like, do hit subscribe, as mentioned. Thanks to Will, thanks to Fathers. Back on Monday to try not to talk about this game too much, but look ahead, hopefully, with Pete, Temps, and Prutz. Hopefully that's the plan, and then we'll turn our attention to Utrecht from there. But thanks very much for everyone's company, and if we don't see you on Monday, we shall see you soon.